Hey everyone, my name is Rooster. Welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, it's going to be about an old comp making a bit of a comeback in the most recent patches. It is Fortress Mustang. We haven't seen this in a while. It especially struggled against kind of the Titan meta that we had for a while, with all three of the Titans outright beating Fortress. But ever since we've had some changes, and I think especially with the changes to High Explosive Mustang, I've been able to make it work, and I've been able to play it an awful lot of times in, the current patch. So I wanted to make a video about it in a game where I ended up playing it up against a very strong player from the 201 region, and I get my favorite specialist, Elite Specialist, with Arc Lights and Steel Balls. Now, for anyone out there, I almost always end up picking any Elite pack, no matter which one it is. So, yes, typically it is better to start with level 1 chaff, and if you want to play Elite, and those packs are kind of premium, but I think it is perfectly fine to play Elite without a chaff start, and level 2 crawlers are honestly still pretty strong, so that's what I end up doing here. I'm just happy to have the Arc Lights and the Steel Balls. I'm going to be stacking on the right side because I do not want to push into that anti-armor cannon, and yeah, I'm going to be really, really far on the right because I also do not want to get pulled into this wall. Arc Lights are going to get positioned in such a way that I can deal with whatever chaff, shows up. This Arc Light over here probably can get moved in front of the left tower, to be honest, because this small turret in the middle already kind of covers any chaff that may show up there. It does mean that it will kind of run into the anti-armor cannon and die, but it's there just in case a crawler gets thrown at the tower, or if I ever want to add more units to that side of the board. Right side, we're doing okay. Opponent is an aerial specialist, and he goes for Void Eyes on round 1, I believe. And that is a bit of a rough matchup for sure. I mean, Steel Balls can kill Tarantulas, of course, if they lock on, but Void Eyes are very annoying. There's 3 of them in a pack. They deal very good damage, and tends to mean that ball starts really struggle in the current meta, with Sledgehammers and Void Eyes being quite prevalent. Now, round number 2, nothing of real interest here. I could go for redeploy if I want to, but I felt like I probably needed to get some anti-air on the board because I know that my opponent is an aerial specialist, and, well, round 2 air is just pretty common, if we're being honest. Intensive training here, it's alright, but on Elite I feel like it's a bit overkill. You're going to be struggling with your money anyway, buying all of those level 2 units. And if you really want a high level unit, you can even Elite recruit it at level 3. So typically it's not something I will end up picking, and you will see me skip here. This does allow me to go for a 300 cost unit like a Mustang, which will be my chaff clear of choice, and I guess my anti-air of choice, alongside the Arc Lights for now. And we'll buy another crawler just to kind of set up our chaff waves here. Now, I do run High Explosive, of course. I mean, that is what part of this video is about. But as we can see, we have crawlers already here being picked up by my opponent, and the board is starting to get quite crowded with chaff. Steel Balls are trying their very best, but they're getting caught, especially in the middle here. I guess I don't have any chaff over there, so they instantly get locked by the Void Eyes. And while we do manage to take out one of the spiders, the other one, very tanky, hard to take out. The Mustangs will manage, but doesn't quite look like we'll be able to get through all of those Void Eyes. Maybe we can. I mean, say that, but oof, okay. Immediate suppression shot there is the effect we're seeing being picked up, and that's part of why Void Eye is currently so strong. That 100 cost tech, giving the Void Eyes 15 extra range, allowing them to sit safely behind things like spiders and sledges, and also just lowering the range of anything they shoot at makes them very powerful, not just against things like Steel Balls, but especially as well against things like Tarantulas and even Scorpions. Very, very powerful tech. More crawlers getting picked up here. Opponent goes for the shield airdrop. I decide to pick up the item for my Mustang, which is a laser sight. And here I'm starting to think, okay, well, what do I want to build? Because the Steel Balls really aren't going to cut it. And I do need some type of frontline that's going to be able to kill, these spiders. Now, for the time being, I don't have a good answer to that, right? Like, we don't have any unit drops yet. We'll get that next round. And I just want to set up my, things that I will need. My chaff clear, and my anti-air. So buying more Mustangs here makes a lot of sense to me. I will want to range them at some point. I'll need high explosive probably at some point as well. I could even click it here, to be honest. But I'll go for attack enhancement first. But that is when I see, okay, 2 more crawlers. I've hit the field. And that kind of is the sign that we should probably be looking into high explosive ammo pretty soon. Because there is just so much chaff on the board that it's very, very difficult for my steel balls to get in and get anything done. Doesn't look like that shield is going to go down. We do manage to grab a debuff. Maybe we can take out a spider. It's now level 2. Not to mention the level 2 Void Eyes behind it. Pretty happy with that debuff, to be honest. If we can take out another spider, which glows gold because it manages to level as well, I'd be, okay with this round. It's not too bad. We don't take a ton of damage, but, I'm slowly starting to lose hit points here and there. My opponent's scaling, getting levels. It's not exactly where you want to be. And suddenly, we're at 4.3k, and our opponent has shaved off a decent portion of our hit points in the early game. Now, number 4. And here are the options. So Wasp here, not bad. Could go for that if I want to. I already have Mustang, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But my opponent doesn't have an anti-Wasp answer. And none is offered unless you want to go for Forte A. Fire Badger, kind of fine as well. Could throw that in the top right. But it's kind of, the same type of unit as Steel Ball. And honestly, my Chaff Gear should be fine, right? If I want to go high explosive Mustang, I shouldn't be thinking about buying another Chaff Gear unit. Same thing for Vulcan, which is also just very awkward to play on aggro. And, even more awkward when you have to buy it at level 2. So I'm thinking, why not go for Fortress? I still need some good front line. I kind of need something that can contest these spiders and also contest the Void Eyes. And it feels like Fortress might be the perfect unit for that. And so here we go, right? Fortress gets picked up. We sell one of the steel balls on the left, which was getting instant targeted and doing absolutely nothing. And we can then replace it with a Fortress. We even have money to buy another Fortress this round, which will, of course, will be level 2. And then we kind of get a choice of where we want to stack them, right? I can put it on the left. I can even try and mount an attack on the right side. Kind of depends on what we want to do. For now, looks like I will be trying to push into the left. Opponent does put a missile there to try and, I guess, snipe my Mustangs. But now we have a Fortress in front. I pick up another Mustang behind this Fortress to help it out. But that gets partially targeted by that missile device. Opponent picked up the Wasps anyway, despite me having Mustang. I guess he was hoping that the Tarantulas would maybe kill them and I wouldn't be able to connect. But left side, we're doing very well. We took out all of the defenses. There's just Chaff left for the most part, so we should be able to get in. But yeah, the double stack on the left does mean that my right side didn't get any stronger. In fact, it got weaker because I sold my steel balls. So we do end up losing pretty handily on that side. If I can get this shield, I guess I'd be pretty happy. Do get debuffed though. And Fortress, pretty slow, trying to make its way across. Spiders with the range enhancement now, going to connect with my Mustang, so it doesn't look like this shield will fall. Fortress will try and do its very best, kind of chew through the Void Eyes as best it can, but the late Fangs coming through will block it, and there's enough damage there for my opponent to kill my Fortresses. I've also kind of shown my hand now, right? Like, the comp is complete. I'm playing Chaff, I'm playing Mustangs, and I'm playing Fortress. So now my opponent gets to kind of decide what they want to play. On this round, I don't think I go for anything special. Opponent, I guess, goes for the Missile Strike. And I believe I pick up a cheaper mobile beacon, so I don't have to buy it from the research center. And I did expect him to go for a missile. And honestly, I was thinking, oh, should I go for barrier here on the Fortress? But man, it is such an expensive tech. And against melters, which I didn't know were going to show up. But in general, if I want this to be a DPS unit, I'd really like to get range enhancement and launcher overload. And if I'm going to buy barrier as well, suddenly that's an expensive build. I also still need some techs on my Mustang. I haven't clicked high explosive yet. As you can see, we're kind of getting stuck. And on the left though, we're doing fine. Crawler here in that shallow flank to try and prevent any missiles. Also trying to prevent any insta-locks by that melting point. Means that we will be able to kill it, even though, it showed up with the immediate range enhancement. Right side, though, still losing. We tried to add a Fortress. It helped a little bit, but still, a good amount of enemy units are still alive. Now we come into that late round, and hopefully we'll be able to chew through some of these units, try and limit the damage taken. I know that I scale well, but there's a ton of techs I still need, and of course I can't just be skipping rounds and not putting any units down. So, you know, I'd like to get more chaff, I'd like to get that high explosive on Mustang, I probably need range, I need range and overload on my Fortress. The list goes on and on. So our job for now is just trying to get to a point where we have enough money to afford all those things. Getting the unit drop is a pretty good way of getting there. Now, I wasn't really looking for any more units. This is a pretty self-sufficient comp, right? Mustang Fortress plus chaff is bliss. Very good comp, doesn't really lack anything. Maybe lacks some anti-air. You know, Armored Wraith could be scary, but that's a risk that you should be taking. I have 3.3k hit points for the time being, so, you know, if my opponent picked Wraith there, I'm okay with it. I decided to pick the Wraith as well. I sell one because it'll be worth the most. And then the other one on the right side should be able to punish the lack of anti-air. In the meantime, I am leveling my fortresses, and I picked up range first. I picked up range on my Mustangs as well. And let's see how this goes. I was hoping that this fortress would be able to perhaps lock onto the melter a bit more easily, and also stay safe a bit more easily. But on the left, it doesn't seem to be the case. Melter does take out that level 1 fortress. We are still left, though, with the level 3, and this one hits hard. Hits for 22,000 per shot, so it's able to 2-tap the melter, and when it's already been damaged by some Mustangs, it only takes 1 shot. Right side Wraith doing a good job. The tower we did lose, but, you know, the Wraith is still alive. No anti-air left, so we will be picking up a round win here and stem the bleeding. Better yet, start damaging our opponent, who still has 4.9k hit points left. Make that 4.2, though, at the end of round 6. Now, heading into 7, Steel Ball Production Line shows up, which is a very, very good item, especially for Giants. Hard to skip, and both of us will be picking that up. I thought that this fortress, the high level one, was the safest. It seemed to be in a good spot, so happy to put it on there. I can't even beacon it backwards ever so slightly to try and get it away from the line. And now on round number 7, I decide to click high explosive as well. Sometimes even I click this tech first without going range. But, you know, this game we had some arc lights around, and we weren't struggling like an immense amount with all the chaff. But lucky me, I click it on the turn my opponent goes Subterranean Blitz. I also go for a top left flank to try and pull away some units with a Sledgehammer and a Crawler. And that is pretty much all she wrote for the time being. Keep in mind, I am going high mobility here on the left tower. Speed is very important when you're pushing in, especially when playing Fortress into Melter. This has always been the case. And it seems to be doing well for us on the left side at least, although my Fortress now gets locked on. Keep in mind, though, it is level 4, but oh, that debuff could not be any worse, as we do take out the Melter there with the dying shot, but sadly, we won't be producing more steel balls for the remainder of this fight, as the enemies are crossing over to the left side. And I think we would have been able to clean up a good amount of enemy units here if that high-level fortress was still alive. Now, though, we're looking to kind of take, you know, close to 1,000 damage here. Those high-level Void Eyes certainly hurt. And, well, the Sledgehammer flank on the top left did alright, but not quite able to do enough. Opponent is loaning here, though. Keep that in mind. So, that does add into the equation. Enhancement module shows up on round number 8. Opponent, of course, picks it. Lots of levels available on Melter. It is a very easy to level giant. Very, very low requirement as giants go. Coming in at only 1,400 experience requirement. So yeah, tons of levels picked up there. I also pick it up. And I was able to grab a level on something. Not exactly sure what it was. But there was a unit that I was able to sell, I believe. Perhaps it was the Wraith, not exactly sure. And then I'm able to transfer it onto a fortress. So I immediately make up for the cost of the item, which is 350, you know, by leveling a 150 cost and then leveling a 200 cost upgrade. And keep in mind, this item also gives stats, right? 25% attack, 25% hit points is not insignificant, especially on a fortress. That hurts. Round number 8, we finally get the second tech. I do want that barrier. The missile strike is back, and it's just such a nice tech to have. The reason, you know, a big reason why Fortress Mustang is such a classic combination, especially for aggro, is you're able to protect your frontline units, right? You can put crawlers up front, and they cannot get missiled by the enemy. And that is a huge deal for aggro. you're also far more safe against spells, right? The shield kind of reaches into the enemy field, so things like oil or other spells that might be dropped onto the enemy board, you can block partially at the very least. Now, Melter here does take out my level 4 Fortress Shield pretty quickly, but aside from that, we seem to be doing alright. I would still be looking to get Launcher Overload if possible, but we already seem to be doing quite well, especially on the left side. Right side still struggling, for sure. We haven't been able to kill those spiders and Void Eyes on their own side of the board, but the left is looking a lot more promising, and I'm still going to be producing those Steel Balls. We already killed the Melter that had the item for our opponent, so we have a bit of an advantage there. Now, hopefully we can intercept this Melter before I get debuffed. That's not going to be quite possible, but lucky for us, we have enough units sitting in front so the Melter doesn't kill my fortresses. And with that, I mean, look at this. Fortress grabs another level. That's going to be a free level next turn. And the level 4 is ready to be level 5. Yeah, this is definitely one of those games. Still, though, opponent nowhere near dying for the time being. Down to 3.5. I guess I shouldn't even be saying down to. I'm the one who's sitting at 2k. Round number 9, unit reinforcements. I don't really care. I decide to go for the Sabers. I know I am a bit vulnerable here, though, to air units, and I was really afraid that my opponent would realize that and perhaps buy into level 2 Wraith with armor. I felt like that was one of the ways I could lose this, and, you know, it's been a little bit too long now since, well, that I have been ignoring this anti-air problem. If you look at these Mustangs with the high explosive, even the level 4s only deal 104, which means that level 2 Wraith with armor would simply crush them. Opponent goes for EMP on the melting points, tosses around that enhancement module, and goes for the Steel Balls with range as their pick from the unit drop. Not what I was expecting, and it's not really something I'm too afraid of, to be honest, but yeah, you can see me think here. Pretty slow round from me, and I was really, really worried about some type of armored air cheese that I wouldn't be able to deal with, so I felt like, you know, I probably need to pick up either a Farseer or maybe some Phoenixes just to be safe. And there we go. It was going to be the Phoenixes in the end. Yeah, it does delay the things I want, right? I really want Overload on my fortresses, but I felt like I had to kind of plug this gap, this weakness in my comp. And so we go for Phoenixes. We do pick up range on them so that they stay safe, and we use them on the outsides because some people really love the flank with Wraith. So let's just try and make sure that doesn't happen. In the end, it doesn't end up happening, and sadly, that does mean that this fortress gets locked on pretty quickly in the middle. Left side, though, still looking good. Oil has been placed, though, for my opponent. Right side still not doing too good, but it looks better now. There's less Void Eyes left alive. The Phoenixes are helping out, taking some of those out. And we will get a debuff of our own as we kill the remaining spider on the left side. Now, this means that the opponent is going to start traveling across. Lucky for me, I still have an anti-armor cannon there, which usually I would have sold. And I mostly hadn't done it yet because I've been busy selling other stuff. But thankfully there, my anti-armor cannon kills a low-health Steel Ball that would have otherwise probably taken my tower and changed the outcome of this round. Instead, though, we are able to fight without a debuff present, and that really does favor us. I mean, these fortress barriers are massive. At level 3, it's 3 times 40k, or a total of 120k. And that is significant, right? The level 5 fortress, even better, up to 200,000 worth of shielding. Round number 10, Nuke shows up. Laser sight as well, good item for Mustang, but it really feels like you cannot skip Nuke right there. And yeah, I feel like I'm somewhat forced to go for it. Where do we use it, though? That is the question. Because on the right side, the shield has remained. We haven't been really able to push in for some time. So, you know, it might be better to perhaps use it left side. Looks like I will try my luck on the right. And I was under the impression that this shield was just a regular one. But if you remember, it's actually a shield air drop, which means it has 50,000 hit points. What you're going to see next is me not realizing that. I thought it was a regular shield with 40k, and against a 40k shield, you can, if you want to, use 8 missiles to break it. And so what I was trying to attempt here at the very end was break this shield with missiles to make sure that, you know, it'll go down and the nuke lands. Sadly, though, you will see it ends up going a little bit different because the shield has 10k more hit points than I thought it had. We are beaconing backwards. Our fortress is here. I was a bit afraid he might set this on fire and maybe he would nuke me. If he does, then at least, you know, we're a little bit further back and maybe he walks into his own nuke. But yeah, that is a stack of 8 missiles, which will do 40k damage, which will be 10k less than is necessary to break the shield. And yeah, the shield is still alive, and sadly my fortresses are nowhere near shooting that barrier, so it stays up. We do take down 2 shields, but it's a pretty expensive affair right there, dropping 400 on missiles that do not achieve what I was hoping they would. Now, we do end up winning the right side because I added another fortress there. But now the left side seems to be struggling somewhat. And the EMP definitely does not help. Good tower debuff though. The Mustang's there taking down the tower. And the fortress is able to recover from the EMP. They do get hit by it yet again. But at least they've been able to soften up the shields, take out one more melter. And now we start collapsing in from the right side. These level 2 fortresses with the range, they should be able to get rid of the melters. It's a close fought round though, and this will go to round 11 with both of us sitting around 2k. Round number 11, EMP shows up. There's an additional deployment slot there as well though. I did consider picking that. And both can be justified. It is kind of late for additional deployments, but, you know, sometimes it's just nice to have one more deployment. Even if this only goes for 1 more round or 2 more rounds, you know, getting those 2 extra deploys, which you have no other way of getting, can make a difference. You know, just adding 1 more chaff unit sometimes, you know, can distract a melter for forever. EMP does get picked up by both of us in the end, though. I was hoping that maybe we would land it, or if he puts down shields, we're able to soften him up and get in quicker. EMP will do a lot of damage to these barriers on the right side though. Again, I will be beaconing backwards this fortress. I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't like somehow get insta-locked by a melter. And round number 11, I decide, hey, my opponent has some anti-air, but he does not have anti-wasp. So let's go for triple wasp pickup. And this is, I guess, where I probably should have gone for the additional deployment slot because it would have allowed me to get 4 wasps, right? I still have 900 resources left. I guess I level a couple of things to spend my money, but if I had picked that card, I would have been able to put down more chaff, more air chaff. Should have distracted the melters for longer, presumably. Opponent just happy to use that missile on 1 backline crawler. And let's see how we do. Right, the shields at this point, the barriers are too big to get EMP'd, as EMP is not a tech that scales with levels on Melter. But the steel balls in the middle, managing to get in there with the range, taking down one of my higher level fortresses. Left side is doing, I mean, I would say alright, but it's pretty stillmatey in its nature. Bunch of mines there coming in, and suddenly I'm a little bit afraid that we might end up dying here. I guess, how many are these? Okay, luckily for me, the fortress, level 5, dealing 53,000 damage there, one-shotting a level 1 melter, is able to clean up, but some way, somehow, we end up losing that round. And I really thought I would win, because my opponent had no way of dealing with wasps, but I guess there just wasn't enough of them. And the spider mines really made a big difference. Now, there is one button I haven't clicked yet, though, and I had mentioned it a while back, which would be a launcher overload on the fortress. And so here we go. I do not waste any time thinking about the cards here, which is to rapidly pick up a laser sight that can go on one of our high-level Mustangs if we desire, and I pick up 2 more fortresses in the middle. another Mustang to kind of cover for them and help them chaff clear, and we go for that launcher overload tech immediately. Temporary range has been picked up. Temporary speed missing for the time being. Would be nice if we could sell something. Question is, what would we sell? I guess I could sell this wall in the middle to get the temp speed, because I do believe that is important. But yeah, we basically just doubled the DPS output of our fortresses, and that is significant. It also allows them to chaff clear quite a bit better, so generally speaking, you'll be getting through, you know, even the small units quicker and managing to lock on to those bigger targets quicker. And yeah, this is a nasty thing over here. Level 6 fortress, hitting for 53,000 every 0.9 seconds. Yeah, it kills things faster than a melter probably would at this point. But yeah, this is a beautifully nostalgic board, I would have to say. This is a comp that used to be very popular for a long time. And as I said, the last few months, perhaps even more than half a year now, hasn't seen the light of day that much, but it's now making a comeback. And I think especially the high explosive nerf change, I would say it's a buff, honestly, has made me kind of rediscover this comp. Fortress has been buffed and buffed slightly as well. A lot more attack value than it used to have. But the fact that you can now use Mustang as your main shaft clear without needing things like Hounds or Arc Lights does make a big difference, and it kind of frees up some money to be put into Fortress, which, you know, has an expensive tech bar for sure. Left side, not looking too great, but the middle is suddenly way more powerful than it was as we added 2 more level 2 fortresses. The EMP going to miss as we lock on to that melter, and this fortress casually one-shots a level 3 fortified tower. We will be able to win this round, and if we do the tally, that should be enough as well to win the game. So launcher overload there probably should have been picked up a lot earlier, but you know, we get it done. We don't get punished for it, and we manage to win this 12-rounder with a old school comp, Fortress Mustang, making a bit of a comeback. I've played this comp many times, not just this game. This was my most interesting, exciting one, I guess. Went for the longest, but I've managed to pick up wins with the comp in other matchups as well. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of Fortress Mustang. Have you tried it out? Have you been clicking high explosive Mustang like I have been? And do you like it? If you want to stay up to date with latest content, please consider subscribing. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.